Thank you for providing me with an opportunity to share both my entry plan and comprehensive plan timeline with you this evening. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Does anybody have any questions? We look forward to it.
Thank you. Thank you. Item 7.02, a community survey. As I just mentioned, we are launching a community survey after tonight's meeting as the first step of our school division's new comprehensive plan. We are seeking input from all stakeholders, and we encourage as many people as possible to complete the survey. It will take just a few minutes of your time. Every comment will be read and noted. We want to know what your highest aspirations are for our students. We want to know what practices you believe should be stopped, what practices should be continued, and what practices should be started. The community survey link will be shared through email, posted on our division Facebook page, and posted on our website. Hard copies of the community survey will also be made available at the school board office, the bus maintenance building, and all of our schools. Thank you again in advance for your time in completing the survey. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Okay. Item 7.03, selection of school board committee members for FY 25-26. We are seeking your selection and approval of school board committee members for the Facilities Committee, the CTE Advisory Committee, and the Health and Safety Committee. For the Facilities Committee, currently Mr. Snoddy, Mrs. Bryant, and Mrs. Morris serve on the Facilities Committee. For the CTE Advisory Committee, currently Mr. Ritchie serves. For the Health and Safety Committee, currently Mrs. Morris and Mrs. Bryant serve.
Does anyone want to volunteer for the Facilities Committee?
Yes, I'd like to volunteer for the
Okay,
facilities.
Mr. Jamerson. And I will give up my seat if someone else wants to be on there. But I think 3 is plenty, unless one of you all.
If you want to give up yours, I'll stay on there.
Okay.
And I'll
Ms.
let-
Morris wants to stay on
You
there.
still want to co-chair
Yeah.
with me?
Well, I still want to go on the CTE. but for the
Okay,
facilities-
so 3 people will be on the Facilities Committee, Jamerson, Snoddy, and Morris.
Okay.
And now the CTA Advisor Committee, Mr. Ritchie wants to continue to stay on there, and Mr. Snoddy wants to go on there as well. Now, the Health and Safety Committee, I'm willing to give that position up to.
Madam Chair, I volunteer for the Health and Safety.
Okay,
And I will stay.
okay. So Mr. Gregory and Ms. Morris for the Health and Safety Committee.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item 7.04, selection of a school board member for the 2025-2026 Governor's School Board Joint Committee. We are seeking your selection and approval of the school board member who will serve on the 2025-2026 Governor's School Board Joint Committee. Currently, Mr. Goodman serves on this committee.
And we spoke about that, so I would like to be the delegate, and then he could be the alternate. I did want to talk about, we need a motion. Okay. somebody needs a motion.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve what you stated with regards to serving on the 2025-2026 Governor's School Board Joint Committee.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded for the school board member for the 25-26 Governor's School Board Joint Committee, which was myself and Mr. Goodman. And we need a motion for the other one too. All right, so motion on the 7.03 for those different committees as well.
Madam
Well,
Chair,
let's do this one first, okay? Is there any questions on that one? The first, the one that we just did? All those in favor, please raise your hand. All right, now we're going to go back to 7.03 and make a motion.
Madam Chair, I make a motion for the selection of school board committees as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly second for the selection of school board committee members for the 25-26 year for the Facilities Committee, CT Advisor, and the Health and Safety Committee. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. Motion carries. So we're up to 7.05 now.
Okay. Item 7.05, selection of a delegate and alternate delegate to represent the board at the VSBA Delegate Assembly Session at the 2025 VSBA Annual Convention in Williamsburg, which is November 20th, 2025. We are seeking your selection and approval of a delegate and alternate delegate to represent the school board at the VSBA Annual Convention. Currently, Mr. Goodman serves as the delegate and Mr. Snoddy serves as the alternate delegate.
And I think in past practices, it was the chairman and the vice chair, but whichever way you all want to do that.
I suggest Ms. Bryant be the delegate with Mr. Snoddy as the alternate. I move.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded for the VSBA delegate to the assembly to be Ms. Bryant as the delegate and Mr. Snoddy as the alternate. All those in favor, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. Motion carries.
Item 7.06, recommend approval of the milk bids for 2025, 2026. Mr. Heslop?
Thank you so much for allowing me to speak to you tonight. Also, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to work for Buckingham. It's a great place, and I really appreciate that. That being said, the nutrition department got a procurement review this past school year, and we did very well. Two of the recommendations were that we go out for a milk bid and a produce bid, so we built RFPs, took out our crucial products to bid, and we came back with our milk bid from United Dairy. They won the bid. Just to remind you, we've had a long run with milk as far as trying to, from COVID all the way to now, we had to use shelf-stable milk for a long time, very high price. This is almost to pre-COVID levels for prices, which really helps us. So,
Is this the ones that substituted last year for us?
absolutely, I'm glad because, you know, they treated us well when no one would come here. So they did.
So it's the same group we?
Yes, sir, same group.
So we are seeking your approval this evening of United Dairy as our milk vendor for the 2025, 2026 school year.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the milk bids for 2025, 2026 school year.
Second.
A motion's been made by Mr. Snoddy and second by Mrs. Morris to approve the milk bids for 25-26 as presented. Any questions on the motion? All in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay. Item 7.07, recommend approval of the produce bids for 2025, 2026.
Same thing, during the procurement review, they asked us to go out for a produce bid as well, and we did so using just our crucial items that we would need. The same vendor that has been gracious enough to come to us is still, they won the bid, so that was pretty awesome.
So we are seeking your approval this evening of Standard Produce as our produce vendor for the 2025, 2026 school year.
Madam Chair, I recommend, or move that we approve the produce bids for 2025, 2026 school year.
A motion's been made and properly seconded by Mr. Snoddy and Mr. Gregory to approve the produce bids for 25-26 as presented. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. Motion carries.
Item 7.08, recommend unrepairable kitchen equipment be declared surplus.
Yes, we have two items on the list that were decommissioned from the high school, and we would like to surplus those items. They are past their usable life for us.
So we are seeking your approval for unrepairable kitchen equipment to be declared surplus and given to the junior ROTC department to be sold for scrap metal, and the proceeds be given to that program.
I move that the unrepairable kitchen equipment be declared surplus and the money's appropriated,
Second.
spread out, so.
A motion's been made by Mr. Snoddy and second by Mrs. Morris to approve the unrepairable kitchen equipment for declared surplus and given to the JROTC. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. It's unanimous, motion carries.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
How much does it weigh?
Good question. Heavy enough to give us a strain, so I'm saying 400 pounds probably for one, the double oven, and probably 350, I would say, for the milk refrigerator.
So a little bit less than $100 basically.
Probably so.
Yeah, depending on the price of metal.
And I would also like to say that JRTC does a great job of helping us to clean up around the areas, and they take the scrap metal and they do a good job of keeping everything safe and clean. So,
Roger that. Thank you.
Item 7.09, recommend approval of the 2025-2026 crisis plan. The crisis plan is not made available for public view as a means to ensure the safety and security of all students and staff. Mr. Heslop is available to answer any questions you may have.
I do have one little correction for you,
Yes,
please,
ma'am.
or two, I should say.
okay.
On that page 5, the phone number for me, I need you to change that to my cell phone, and I'll give it out. It's, Wendy's going to give it to you.
Great. I'll take care of that. No problem.
Okay, and also Paul Townsend is still on there, and I feel like we need to take him off. He's on the same page, I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Item 7.1.
We need a
Oh, I'm
recommendation.
sorry, excuse me.
What's the board's pleasure on that?
I move we approve the 2025-2026 crisis plan.
Second.
A motion's been made by Mr. Snoddy and second by Mr. Goodman to approve the 25-26 crisis plan as presented. Are there any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous, motion carries.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Item 7.10, recommend approval of the agent of record vendors for 2025-2026. We're seeking your approval this evening of agent of record vendors for the 2025-2026 school year. Payments to the following vendors may be made prior to the board meeting by either the superintendent or the clerk. Payments made will be included with the listing that is approved at the board meeting for information purposes. We've provided you with a list of approved agent of record vendors in board docs.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I move we approve the agent of record vendors for 2025-2026 school year.
Second.
A motion's been made by Mr. Snoddy and second by Mr. Gregory to approve the agent of record vendors for the 25-26 school year. Are there any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous, the motion carries.
Item 7.11, recommend approval of the Buckingham County Public Schools 2025-2026 Parent-Student Handbook. Mrs. Haynes and Mr. Moore. So we are seeking your approval this evening of the Buckingham County Public Schools 2025-2026 Parent-Student Handbook. Mrs. Haynes and Mr. Moore will share updated information with you. Mrs. Haynes will review the information in the handbook that is in red text, which indicates updates and changes from last year. There is a section on Chromebooks that has some significant changes, and Mr. Moore will review those changes with you. And once again, both Mrs. Haynes and Mr. Moore are available to answer any questions you may have.
Hi, good evening. So for the non-Chromebook sections of the handbook, the only changes were we added in a notation for the yearly required authorizations, just noting that in the table of contents. We updated the letter, of course, for Dr. Reasoner for this year. There were some directory changes, names, positions, so we updated those. Geography was an added course as a required course moving forward for our high school graduates, so we added that information in there. And then I know previously the adult meal prices changed that Mr. Heslop had presented, so we updated that information in there as well. But then the rest is pretty much the Chromebook information. Now I'll let Mr. Moore speak on that.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Reasoner. So a lot of this is verbiage changes just to kind of reflect this year the final change from one-to-one Chromebook assignments for students to take home. The high school was the last to come on board. We've actually moved to carts at the high school level as well. So this is a lot of the red ink that reminds me of a high school English paper. Just kind of reflects verbiage changes to kind of go from that one-to-one piece of students having their own Chromebook to, hey, where classrooms sit. So we just wanted to align the verbiage there so we're accurate across the board. But the biggest change on this piece is on page 90 and 91. So previously, we had an opt-out form for parents if they didn't want a Google account. We've changed that to an opt-in, just based on some of Google's different offerings that require some parental consent. And an opt-in is kind of, it always protects the district a little more than an opt-out, based on some legal help we've gotten. So with that, that's one of the biggest changes, other than just the verbiage changes to kind of align with where we're at this year. And that concludes my report. Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions?
Not on that. On the handbook itself, yes. I know we've talked in the past about the cell phone policy, and that's been amended as far as a separate policy goes, but since this is what everybody looks at as far as the handbook goes and what they use to come to us for information.
Yes.
I recommend we add some of that verbiage on the cell phone use, smartphone use, whatever is acceptable for the classroom for them to use, added to it.
Okay.
I didn't see that in there. I'll check again, but I didn't see it, when I did the search for cell, right, or phones, it gave phone numbers, but I didn't see cellular phone devices, smart watches and stuff like that for the classroom use.
I think that's more in our code of conduct instead of the,
Well, I'm just looking because.
But we wanna put that here, too?
Well, I'm just asking because, most of us go to the one-stop shop, and the handbook for students and parents is where we want to go to look for all of our issues. When we start digging into the individual chapters, we reference it to the policy, kind of like what's done in the manual now. So just my recommendation or thought process is having something to that verbiage where the parent like me goes to that and is one-stop shopping for figuring out what's going on with cell phones or even AI for that matter. What's our AI policy? We don't have one, I don't think, an AI policy.
I presented it last year. We have a.
Okay, so certain verbiages to that, because
Yes.
like I said, they'll go to the reference material if they know about it, like on the website, but this is their one-stop shopping for all things, questions answered. So I recommend certain verbiage. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but I would recommend that verbiage be put in there.
Okay, and I can work with some more added in the technology section, since
The
that makes
biggest
the most
piece
sense.
is that teachers are dealing with parents, right? We deal with you guys, but teachers are dealing with parents. When the parents come to the teachers with this information, and we don't have anything but the policy, they're pulling out the handbook. There's nothing in the handbook that tells the student or tells the parent.
Right.
Just my opinion, and I don't know what the board, sees about that, but just my opinion, when you're looking at all things encompassing in a handbook,
Right.
might not hurt to put some of that verbiage in there.
Understood. And I agree. I can add that part in the handbook.
Tricky words like may or could or would, those should, shall, right? Those words can be skewed. One of the examples is, some of the verbiage in child may fail for certain things not happening in the classroom. Let's not beat around the bush. If there are certain things happening in the classroom that shouldn't be happening, there's not a shall or a may, it's a will.
Right.
If they're not there for their attendance for 10 days or whatever it is, and everybody's been contacted across the board, and that classroom expectation is for this, it's not a may fail. If everybody's done what they're supposed to be doing, there's a will fail. I recommend that verbiage be changed for the mays and stuff like that. If it's a questionable thing, I got it, but if it's not a questionable thing, let's not beat around the bush. It should be what it's gonna be, and it's a will.
So my recommendation would be maybe we make a committee to go through this
Wonderful.
at that detail.
Wonderful.
I don't want to miss something, and I don't want to misconstrue
Nope.
it, because
And
I'm not the one
I recommend the
enforcing.
teachers. The
Right.
teachers are the ones that deal with this
Exactly.
on a regular basis.
Yes.
When they look at this, they're going, no wonder there's a loophole, right? And that's what they're
Understood.
seeing, And we use that as parents, I'd use it. If I had an issue, it doesn't say it in the handbook, it's the first
Right.
thing I would say. So
Okay.
I recommend we probably do that.
Okay, so we will form a committee to address that concern. We can copy verbatim policy JFCM, which is the new policy on student cell phone and smart device possession and use, and incorporate it into the student parent handbook verbatim, so that it'll be found within policy as well
Yes.
as that handbook. It'll be also reiterated in the code of conduct.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's references in there that we see at the end, it don't mean anything to most of us, right?
Right.
Until you look at them. But
Okay.
if you have it in there as a one-stop shopping, that's the way to go.
We will have that ready for you by next board meeting, an update.
And one question.
Can we just amend it though? I mean,
Yeah, yes, we
could
can,
just
but
do
we'll
that.
we'll make sure that it's done.
Just Just one question, Madam Chair.
Sure.
And so I guess I'm to assume as well that, you know, it's properly vetted from an attorney once we kind of come up with corrections, because sometimes some of the language is ambiguous because of, you know, some type of legal restraint, but of course, we've got an attorney that's going to take a look at it, and
I can make sure that that happens, yes.
I mean, I think an attorney should take a look at it as well,
We
right?
keep them on the payroll, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think
That's
that's
usual.
part of the, most of this is policy.
Yes, it is.
And what we do is just take it from there and put it into the handbook. So if it's already been gone through with, on the policy part, so we should be okay, I would say. My opinion.
Okay.
All right, what's the pleasure of the board for this then? If there's no other questions,
Yeah, I mean, I move we go ahead and accept the superintendent's recommendation for establishing a committee to do the handbook review, and then accept it for the next board as an agenda item.
Second.
motion's been made to establish a committee for the student handbook by Mr. Snoddy and second by Mr. Goodman. Are there any other questions on the motion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. That passes. But now what do we need to do for this one? Do we need to table this until the next meeting? Or do we want to approve it as amended where we add that policy? Because they're going to need to get this stuff out.
It'll
Well,
have
if
to
we're
go
doing it-
home, you know.
If we
put-
amend it, we're just going to, they're going to add that one policy for the cell phones. But it will not have the shells and the wheels and the,
Well, I
all
mean,
those
it-
things.
It depends. If you're talking about publishing it for the school year, and if they're doing an internal committee that doesn't involve, you know, us being involved or whatever, and they can probably put it out pretty quick, I would imagine, with the review of the policy, and make sure certain things. At the end of the day, it's a catch-all for the parents. So I would want it to be as accurate going out to the parents as possible, I would think.
Okay.
But you tell me, I mean, if you can do the internal committee.
We can do the internal committee work
And
and
then vote on
vet
it
it through
next-
the attorney.
Vote on it next
And we
month.
will be, yes, we'll have it ready for next time. And we will have the cell phone policy verbatim, the new cell phone policy added to the handbook in time for publication.
Yeah. Only because we had the issues with the government and all that new stuff that happened, so.
Sure.
And we've had issues with the AI piece of it as well this past year, I know. So that's Chat GPT answering, anyway, homework.
so what are we doing as far as the handbook though? Because
Right, because the forms will have to go home with the students
Yes.
at the beginning of the school year
Yeah.
for parents
We're
to
gonna
sign.
be
Which is after
behind.
the board meeting, after the next
Yeah.
board meeting. So if they can do the internal committee and stuff.
no, we
No,
start
we
school
start school
before
on
the
the
next
6th.
board meeting.
before the
You're
next
2
board
weeks
meeting.
behind.
Am I? Is it August already?
It will be.
Yeah.
Pretty quick.
My suggestion, again, is to add the policy as amended, so that way at least the cell phone policy is in there. The wheels and the shalls will not be in there. But we can have it amended after that and send out different pages or whatever we need to do.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
I just know it's kind of like we've discussed before, is if you don't have it all in one thing, your amendment's going to be bypassed because it's not in with the original handbook.
yeah, but the handbook is online now, unless you ask
Oh,
for it to be
I agree.
printed.
Yeah, I
But,
agree.
so I'm just
Yeah.
saying that too, so you know, you realize that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. You're just changing it online, I mean.
We will still have to approve it completely, but for now, what I'm suggesting is we add that one policy for the cell phone, and that'll be as amended, and then the other parts that need to be vetted out can be amended again, maybe by the next meeting. But this way, they'll have the letter, the paperwork that they need to send out to the students the beginning of the year.
We
When
can
do
have that
start?
ready.
Yeah, when do we start?
August,
Teachers go back
fifth,
August.
sixth, yeah,
August
sixth.
August
6th.
6th.
School starts August 26th, so yeah, that's right. Around the corner. Yeah. Good Lord,
So-
where did summer go?
We need a motion for that.
Madam Chair, I make a motion as presented.
Second.
As amended. A
Second.
motion's been made by Mr. Goodman and second by Mr. Jamerson to approve the 2025-26 Parent-Student Handbook as amended. Any other questions on the motion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. Unanimous.
Okay. Item 7.12, recommend approval of the 2025-2026 Student Code of Conduct. We are seeking your approval this evening of the Student Code of Conduct Handbook. Mrs. Haynes will review the information in the handbook that is in red text, which indicates updates and changes from last year.
Really, the only changes to the code of conduct were the Chromebook information that Mr. Moore just shared. We did add the yearly required authorizations form and the authorization to photograph forms to the code of conduct. They weren't in there previously, so those are additions, but they were what have been in our handbook previously as well. So we added those and then updated the Chromebook information that he already shared. Those are the only changes.
Well, I have a few questions.
Okay.
So on page, I think it's 16. Hope I got the right number. BSC 13, it says engaging in reckless behavior, and I think the word should be that creates a risk of injury. That should be corrected, I hope.
Okay.
Okay. And then, that was just me being a little crazy about stuff. And then page 18, under PD 9 and 10, I'm not quite sure, it's like the same thing. Is it one for a staff person and one for a child? Because it just states malicious wounding without a weapon, but it doesn't state whether it's for a student or a staff person or whoever. So,
Candace, are you aware the difference there? Is it one for staff, one for a student, for PD 9 and 10? Okay.
okay, so.
I'll add that information.
Yeah, correct that,
mhm.
so we know which one is which. Sorry. And then page 28. So we have it there. What did I write down? I was kind of wondering about this part about gender ID. I didn't quite understand how it was for the last sentence under where is it at? I'm trying to find it, sorry. I may be on the wrong page myself, that's what it is.
The page itself, not the.
Gender expression, I think. Gender expression may change over time and from day to day, and that is not necessarily related to the person's gender identity. I'm not quite understanding why, well, that's not the one. Gender identity is an intimate part of a person's identity and can be the same or different from the sex assigned at birth. I didn't think we had that in our
That's what
readings.
we've had, because I didn't touch that at all. That hasn't
Okay.
changed in over 2 years.
All right, just
But
want to make sure.
If that's
All right,
something,
The last thing I have, I'm sorry, this is page 37. It's about bullying, and it doesn't give me any, what are the consequences? There's nothing in here telling us, yeah, you're going to make it a priority, but I don't see any consequences for bullying at all. So I'm kind of confused about that.
And we do have a policy on bullying.
so you're saying like at the end of the other sections, it gives you the discipline codes?
Well,
And-
I would think it would state it here somewhere, but
Mhm.
it's not saying that. So I was just wondering if it should be here or if it should be somewhere else.
Okay.
But, it also states that it's going to notify the parents. Is it going to notify the parents of both parties, the victim or the aggressor, or is it just the victim? Because to me, it should be all of them.
Right.
But it doesn't really, it's kind of vague there.
Okay.
And then the consequences, it doesn't state it. What are the consequences if someone's bullying? Are they, expelled, or what are we doing? So, just want to clarify that.
Okay.
And that could be for the next time, but I
Yes,
just
we'll
want to.
make sure that
make
we
sure I
have
get
that
that
clarified,
covered.
that section looked over.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
What you want, as amended or what? Amended?
Well, we did amend it already, so you
Okay.
can say as amended if you want to.
I move we approve the 2025-26 Student Code of Conduct as amended.
Second.
A motion's been made by Mr. Snoddy and second by Mr. Gregory to approve the 25-26 Student Code of Conduct as amended. Are there any other questions on the motion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous, the motion carries.
Okay. Item 7.13, recommend approval of the Buckingham County Public Schools 2025-2026 testing calendar. We're seeking your approval this evening of the testing calendar. Mrs. Haynes currently serves as our Division Director of Testing, or DDOT, and will provide a short overview of the testing calendar, changes that have come from the Virginia Department of Education in terms of testing dates, and will be available to answer any questions that you may have.
Yes. So this calendar mimics, for the most part, what we've had in the past. The only change is the House Bill 1957 now states that all SOL testing for grades 7 through 12 should be within the last 2 weeks of the school year and no earlier. And so we had to adjust our schedule for those tests. But otherwise, we kept our same schedule.
Which test?
The SOL test for grades 7 through 12. They can't be administered earlier than 2 weeks before the last day of school.
Plays right into our May meeting conversation.
What's the pleasure of the board on this one?
I move we approve the Buckingham County Public Schools 2025-2026 testing calendar as presented.
Second.
A motion's been made by Mr. Snoddy and second by Mr. Jamerson to approve the 25-26 testing calendar for the Buckingham County Public Schools. Are there any questions? All those in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 7.14, recommend approval of the Buckingham County Public Schools new teacher academy schedule for 2025-2026 school year. Mrs. Branch? So we are seeking your approval this evening of this, the new teacher academy, and she will provide an overview of this exciting two-day event and is available to answer any questions that you might have.
Good evening, Board, Madam Chair, and community. One of the best parts of my job is getting to go out and recruit new teachers, besides the fact that it makes me feel older and older and older every year because they look so young. But we have a great group of new teachers this year, so I'm very excited. New Teacher Academy is going to be July 28th and July 29th. On the 28th, we're going to do it here at the middle school. We're going to start off with a breakfast and then an opening by Dr. Reesner. And then all of our directors and principals will get an opportunity to speak. So they get to put some names with faces. Everybody has a different part. We've even drug Mr. Palmer into this. He's going to load him on a bus and take him around the county to show them what a great place they've signed up for. So that's always fun. We'll have, later in the morning, we'll have someone here talking about employee benefits. We will have our Director of SPED giving a presentation. Patrick and his team will be doing a technology talk, and they'll be getting all their technology stuff, their laptops, and getting set up for the new school year. Then we'll go into lunch. After lunch, I'll review, or my team will review things such as the employee handbook and the frontline absence management system, teacher evaluations, things that are important to a new teacher that they really need to know before they get started. Later in the afternoon, we'll talk about Power School, and hopefully they'll have their laptops, they'll be able to get in, they'll be able to, peruse around Power School a little bit, see the important things like how to take attendance and maybe how to set up your grade book and things like that that new teachers always need to know. At the end of the day, we lift them up with some encouragement and get ready to send them off into the classroom. Day 2 is more of a on-your-own day. It's like, whew, I survived day 1 and all that stuff they just threw at me and overwhelmed me with. And now it's day 2. So they get to go back to their home schools. Most principals set up meetings with their mentor teacher and just kind of get acquainted, get their classroom ready, and just be in the new environment. So that's basically what our New Teacher Academy looks like. Are there any questions?
What time frame? What day do y'all cover any of the policies?
So that is actually covered under my section, the employee handbook,
Okay,
that will
gotcha.
go into some of the policies.
Only question I got.
You need a recommendation, we have a recommendation.
I move we approve the Buckingham County Public Schools new teacher academy schedule for 2025-2026.
Second.
A motion's been made by Mr. Snoddy and second by Mrs. Morris to approve the Buckingham County Public Schools new teacher academy schedule for the 25-26 school year as presented. Any other questions? All those in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. Motion carries.
Item 7.15, recommend approval of the Buckingham County Public Schools back-to-school teacher workweek schedule. So we are seeking your approval this evening of the teacher workweek schedule, and we are inviting all board members to participate in convocation with us on Wednesday, July 30th, beginning at 8 a.m. at the middle school. We will serve a light breakfast, and we'll have some spirit activities planned during convocation. Mrs. Branch will be able to provide an overview of some of our plans for teacher workweek, and some of these are still in progress of planning, and she's also available to answer any questions that you might have.
So I can't take credit for creating this solid document. This was work that was done by Ms. Jansen before she left. What we did do, though, was make sure that it was sent out to principals to verify, because if you've been looking at this schedule at all, you can see it starts off with convocation, but it's very tailored to each school. So it discusses PD that's happening in each school, and times and locations, luncheons, and all the fun stuff that they're going to do. It even goes through, like, August 1st, the orientations at the different schools. But really, it drills into the specific PDs. So the principals have reviewed their sections, and this is what we've got as of now. There might be some minor tweaks, but I don't anticipate anything major. So this is kind of the survival guide for teachers the first few days, and kind of tells them, hey, this is all the stuff you got to do, and all the good things we have planned. So if there's any questions, I'll answer it to the best of my ability.
I think it's great you're adding those PDs in there. Get started on the right foot, right, for the rest of the year.
We need a motion on this one as well.
I make a motion for the approval of the Buckingham County Public Schools back to school teacher work week.
Second.
A motion's been made by Mr. Gregory and second by Mr. Snoddy to approve the Buckingham County no, I got the wrong thing. What are we on, 7.15?
1-5.
Oh, okay, doesn't say. The back-to-school work week schedule as presented. Are there any questions? All those in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. Motion carries. Sorry.
Item 7.16, recommend approval of the Buckingham County Public Schools 2025-2026 Employee Handbook. Mrs. Branch will review the information in the employee handbook that is in red text, which indicates updates and changes from last year. She is available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. So the major change with the employee handbook was the front cover. It got a major facelift just to kind of, make it look more modern and bring us up to date a little bit. You'll notice that names, dates, titles, positions, the common things got changed. School calendar got changed. There was one section under the acceptable computer use policy when I was comparing, so I always compare the employee handbook to our policy manual. There were some bullets that were left out. I added those that referenced Virginia code, so that was a change. And then it was a couple more provisions on technology protection measures, and then monitoring the activities that we're doing online. So I did add those things. Other than that, there weren't a lot of changes to the employee handbook. Are there any questions?
On these handbooks, do the teachers review them at all before they get to us?
So what happens with the handbooks is principals usually go over it in their opening faculty meetings.
Okay.
They try to hit all the high points, real necessity things. And it's online, and every teacher is responsible for reviewing it.
Do they normally just send you emails for any recommended changes, or?
Yes, anybody that has any changes, anything they want to highlight or recommend, they send that to me.
Okay.
Is there a place in there where they have to sign it, just like the kids where they sign it, saying they read it?
I believe, yes, the last page, they have to sign that they've reviewed everything and that they know our policies.
All right, I just wanted to make sure. I mean, I know it's kind of rough to say that, but we
You
have
keep
to
copies
cover
of-
ourselves.
Well, yeah,
You-
that's the way we
You keep
cover it.
copies of all of those too, right?
Yeah, each school does have copies
Ah, okay.
from their employees.
What's the pleasure of the board on this one?
I move we approve the Buckingham County Public Schools 2025-2026 Employee Handbook.
Second.
A motion has been made by Mrs. Morris and second by Mr. Gregory to approve the 25-26 Employee Handbook for Buckingham County Public Schools. Are there any other questions? All those in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous, the motion carries.
Item 7.17, recommend approval of the Buckingham County Public Schools 2025-2026 Substitute Handbook. Mrs. Branch will review the information in the substitute handbook that is in red text, which indicates updates and changes from last year. There is quite a bit of red text, which indicates there have been some significant changes from last year's substitute handbook. I believe Ms. Haynes may have assisted her with this work as part of her administrative internship, and both of them are available to answer any questions that you might have.
Yes, so Ms. Haynes needed a project for her class, and she's like, hey, can I look at this and, help with updating it? I was like, sure, you absolutely can. So you'll notice your whole book is in red. And I promise I'm not gonna try to stand up here all night. The thing about the handbook is a lot of the components are the same, but it just looks a little different and things are a little more detailed. So I'm gonna try to hit the high points, and if you have additional questions after I do that, please feel free to ask. So in the employment information, the pay structure is broken down a little more clearly as far as substitute pay rates. It's listed out by degrees and diplomas. It lists the pay ranges, and again, we're just talking about substitutes, so that's the only thing we're looking at here. The work hours are clarified a little better. It talks about the unemployment compensation disclaimer, which wasn't there, was new language added. So it lets anyone know that they can't contest unemployment claims due to lack of work for subs. Substitute management, there are more details on frontline, including access instructions, call periods, like when they'll be called, cancellation rules, and the impact of school preferences on job availability. We expanded the social media policy. It was new detailed guidance on employee use of personal and social networking sites associated consequences. Employees are advised to maintain appropriate boundaries with students on social media and in person. There was a section on confidentiality and student privacy. There was added emphasis on not discussing grades, medical conditions, behavior issues, things that are important for a sub to know that, hey, you just don't go out in the grocery store after subbing and have these conversations. There's clearer rules on discipline and classroom behavior and how to handle these things, such as, not having students grade papers or discuss grades. And then outlines for discipline methods, what to do if you have a problem in your class. In daily expectations and logistics, we added hints for success. There's a new version that includes tips like visiting the school in advance, learning school-specific procedures, and prepping for last-minute calls. Substitute teacher report template. So in the past, if subs need to report to the principal or leave a note for the teacher, some of them just wrote it. We've included this year a template to provide feedback, which I thought was a really nice addition, because that gives the subs some structure and then gives the teacher something that they can be looking for also. Other updates included listing the district staff and school administrators that are associated with the buildings, their contact info, and it now includes principals, assistant principals, and updated fax numbers. Let's see. In the maintaining boundaries section, there was a new policy that reinforces professionalism and discourages personal relationships and having personal conversations. And then emergency procedures were clarified a little bit more as far as expectations during lockdown drills, fire evacuations, and the use of the classroom emergency buttons. And then also, a big one, removal from the substitute list. This clarifies for people, look, if you take these sub jobs and you don't show up, and we've called you 3 different times or 4 different times and you haven't shown up for jobs, you can be removed from the sub list for that school. Use of inappropriate language, any physical contact with students, failure to manage the classroom effectively. So just kind of laying things out a little more specific. And that's the overall, that's why we made the whole thing red, because it was so many changes, it just formatted a little bit different. But I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have about those.
So when do they get these books? Because it's, 30 pages almost, I think?
It's a lot. So we, usually when a new sub comes on board, we go over the book with them and give them a copy of the book.
Okay.
In a new school year situation, we can email something like this because subs can have email, so we can email that out, or we have done mailings before. It's just 30 pages is a lot to mail, and I prefer not to try to go that route.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure that they do get it in time to know what their part is.
Yes, ma'am.
I move we approve the Buckingham County Public Schools 2025-2026 substitute handbook.
Second.
A motion's been made by Mr. Snoddy and second by Mrs. Morris to approve the Buckingham County Public Schools 25-26 substitute handbook as presented. Are there any other questions? All those in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. The motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 7.18, recommend that obsolete high school textbooks be donated to Central Virginia Christian School. Mr. Talley, we are seeking your approval this evening to donate obsolete high school textbooks to the school. These books are Algebra 1 math textbooks, which no longer align with the approved state math standards, and updated instructional resources have been purchased. Mr. Talley is available to answer any questions that you might have.
I guess the only question I have is, so this is to align us with the state requirements. And we're-
So these books are books that have been stored in our basement
Yeah,
for several years, that they have been replaced by either new books or digital versions of that align us with the standards.
so it goes to, and this has nothing to do with us, but it just goes to question, we're gonna give outdated books to the Christian school to
Yes.
use.
Yes.
But they want them.
They want them.
Yeah, they do.
Interesting,
Been asked.
interesting. I don't have a problem with it.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion's been made by Mr. Goodman and second by Mrs. Morris to donate the obsolete high school textbooks to Central Virginia Christian School. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 7.19, recommend the approval of the VSBA Code of Conduct for school board clerks.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the VSBA Code of Conduct for School Boards Clerks.
Second.
A motion's been made by Mrs. Morris and second by Mr. Snoddy to approve the VSBA, or Virginia School Board Association, for those that don't know, Code of Conduct for School Board Clerks as presented. Are there any questions? All those in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. The motion carries.
Okay. Item 7.20, VSBA May policy updates as presented, second reading and adoption. We are seeking your approval this evening of 41 policy revisions. The VSBA has provided in Board Docs an explanation of revisions, which is included in the attachments. A brief explanation is given for each policy revision. Each revision should be examined, and then the school board should decide whether to adopt the revised policies. Some policies require local input before adoption. As with all sample policies provided by the VSBA, each school board should decide whether to use the sample policies as they are written, make changes to them, write local policies themselves, or not adopt a policy on the topic. The VSBA copyright and the date the policies are revised appear on all VSBA policies. As an aside note, we will be conducting a comprehensive review of our policy regulations to accompany policies during the school year. We will update you with revisions to our existing regulations as we complete this work. There are 4 policies this evening which require the school division to establish regulations. Mrs. Haynes will be presenting these regulations this evening. Policy EBBC, opioid antagonist. This is a new policy. This policy is created to reflect amendments of Virginia Code. It directs us to establish regulations related to the safe storage and supply replacement of opioid antagonists. Mrs. Haynes will review this regulation with you.
And so I just want to point out that in JHCD of our current policy, we do have mention of naloxone, which is an opioid antagonist. And we do mention that we have policies for storing them and making sure that we order more when supply becomes lower and who is monitoring that. So we just created additional regulations for spelling out basically how each site will obtain and store and use the antagonist in those situations. And it does talk about them being in a central area that can be accessed by a staff member or the nurse who is trained. And it goes into detail about the training for the nurse or the additional staff members. It also talks about a 6-step emergency protocol for calling 911, doing the first spray, support breathing, give a second dose if needed, transferring the care to EMS, and then filing the incident report. I do want to point out that I have not had one of the nurses review this yet for the detail here. I did model this off of other schools and what they have in place for this, but I would like to have a nurse review it who is an expert on that information. But this is modeled after that. And we do have a current policy that addresses storing them and obtaining them.
Are we keeping track of the training provided? And you said that was provided by the nurses, approved by the nurses, or provided by somebody else?
The nurses get the training,
Give the
yes.
training, get the training.
They receive the
It's
training.
only one
excuse me.
person. Is it just one person per school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so
Is
with
And it's
there-
only the nurse?
The nurse, But we can have additional people
Oh, yeah,
trained.
yeah, yeah.
Anyone
So- Yeah.
can provide it in
So
that situation if needed.
My
but-
recommendation, like I get it, this is a big issue, especially moving forward in today's world, but it's got in here at least one personnel or employee from each school and division. And
Yes.
I don't like that. I would recommend a minimum of 2, especially in those bigger schools. Like you call the high school one school, but you got 2 different buildings for crying out
Yes.
loud.
Yes.
And not only that, but you're limited to one person, the nurse if they're there, possibly one other person. So I would, at a minimum 2.
And so the way I wrote it in here was for the nurse plus at least 2 additional staff.
Okay. I just see down in the personnel training, at least one employee in every school or division is authorized, blah, 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 blah.
Right, as the minimum, and we kind of went above that to try to
Okay.
make sure we were covered.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Okay, policy JFCM, which is student cell phone and smart device possession and use. This is a new VSBA policy this year. This policy is created to reflect amendments in addition to the Virginia Code. This policy requires the school board to adopt restrictions for cell phone use in each level of the school to include elementary, middle, and high school. And Mrs. Haynes will review this regulation with you.
And we are ahead of the game here. Our policy already includes the policy for that, the consequences, and it's broken down by elementary and secondary level. It's already something you guys have approved, so we already have that in place.
Yeah, as long as everything lines up with what they're recommending
does,
based on
yes.
policy, yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right, policy JJAG, student athlete extreme heat safety and protection. Once again, this is a new VSBA policy. And this policy is created to reflect the addition of Virginia Code. This policy requires the school board to adopt procedures for athletic practice and games. It also requires the superintendent to establish regulations, procedures, and processes. The Virginia Code Section 22.1-271.9 requires the school board to review and update this policy in accordance with the guidelines biannually reviewed and updated by the Virginia Board of Education. Mrs. Haynes will review this regulation with you. In establishing this regulation, Mrs. Haynes did collaborate with Mr. Talley, Mr. Goen, and Mr. Wilkerson.
And so for this, we looked at the regulations that would match with the policy for any athletic program, grades 6 through 12, since we have middle school sports as well, including practices, strength and conditioning sessions, scrimmages, camps, everything that would fall under that umbrella. We discussed using like a heat index to monitor this and what devices, whether it's, on your phone or different devices that you can use, weather channels, things like that. We talked about heat acclimatization plan. For example, in football if you need to acclimate, days 1 through 2, 1 practice in a day, helmets only for football, and light uniforms. Days 3 to 4, you could add shoulder pads, but you still have the helmets and light uniforms. And day 5, you would have full equipment permitted. So we have it outlined what that would look like. We talked about hydration and cooling, training for the coaches, and an emergency action plan if a heat stroke is suspected, to, of course, activate EMS, calling 911, a cool first and transport, which matches the policy here, and then we have where we can document the incident that occurred, and that record keeping and reporting, just to make sure we're following up with the incidents.
Who does the monitoring of the wet bulb? I mean,
So that would be with the coaches.
so the coaches.
It's on, like, if you go to weather.com,
Yep.
that's what they use, so you could just check that for it. So that's what
For
Coach
Buckingham
Goen
County as a whole.
well, the coaches would, yes, and that would be part of the conversation that we would have with the coaches ahead of time, that's what's expected to look at that.
So this is wonderful, by the way. We talked about this, two meetings ago, about heat and it's a big thing, even in the military. I mean, we go through classes for this all the time.
Right.
But it's nothing to sneeze at with a one-pager, I'm just saying. Wet bulb is monitored, like you can start off at one level and it goes to the next level within an hour.
Right.
It's famous for it down at Campbell Union. You start off at like 80-some degrees, but then the humidity shoots up over 90 and, yeah, we're done.
Exactly.
But these kids are the ones that pay the price. And we've seen it with
Yes.
the deaths on TV and stuff like that for college athletes even. So this is great. This is a
Yes.
great start. Training.
Mhm.
Who's getting the training? Other than the coaches, who's getting the training?
So we do not have an athletic trainer on site or employed by the school. So the only people are the coaches who are there on site during a practice or a game. I know at football games, we do have EMS staff there, but that's during those games. So Coach Goen and I and Mr. Wilkerson, we had all talked about that and what that would look like. So we don't have everything outlined. This is, like you said, the start to
Yep.
this, of what we have available to us currently.
The only reason I bring it up, look where we've been the last few weeks, right?
Mhm.
It's been hot,
Yes.
humid, nasty. And I know they're doing conditioning right now for football.
Mhm.
So it's one of those things where it's great, but they don't have this working right now, right? I mean, it
Correct.
might be, but there's no policy.
And the great thing was, when we spoke, they were already doing these things. So they were already following the procedures and making sure to keep our kids safe. That's their number one priority, of course.
Whose procedures? Is this,
When I met with Coach Wilkerson and Coach Goen,
no, but whose procedures? Is this, what?
they were already following the things we're talking about here with these regulations.
Where are they
with the-
getting their training from?
Oh, I'm not sure. I can't speak
So
to that.
I would want to know and capture that, because at the end of the day, if somebody happen, Lord forbid, something happens on our fields, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of 90-plus degree weather, and we just missed it. We missed it by 1 degree, 2 degree, whatever. We got this, there's zones, there's levels, right? But
Yes.
you miss it by a little bit and something happens. If we don't have it accurately captured, then we're all, paying the price for somebody making a mistake. And that's the worst thing in the world.
So we can look into partnering with either Buckingham County Health Department, or if there's an online training module provided somewhere, we will look into that and we will expedite training for starting with our athletic director and then work with our coaches as well.
And the climatization piece, while that sounds great and everything, just so you know, that doesn't mean a hill of beans when you get out of a car, there's 60 degrees inside the car. And you're going to have to try and acclimatize for a couple hours a day. Yeah, we try to do the best we can, but at the end of the day, you're fighting a losing battle in most cases with AC
Right.
in the vehicles and schools even.
Yes.
Leaving from school from an AC environment, 70 degrees, you're going out to 90-degree weather. It's a huge factor
Yes.
in heat-related incidents. Know that firsthand. Got it. Thank you. This is wonderful.
Yes, it is.
Great start.
Okay, great. Okay, next policy, policy LC, charter schools. This policy has been updated for clarity and consistency with footnotes updated and added. This policy requires the school board to include procedures for any charter school application process. Mrs. Haynes will review our current process for charter school applications with you.
Again, this is one of those situations where we were ahead of the game, and we already have the procedures outlined here in our policy LC-E. We discuss the step-by-step process for any individual group or organization that would have to follow if they were seeking to open a charter school in our division. It says the addendum requires applicants to submit the state charter package plus this local supplement to the superintendent no later than January 1st, preceding the desired opening year, with an original and 3 copies, and there's a $100 application fee. And there are 23 sections to it. There's a template for the petitioners through everything from performance-based goals, curriculum alignment to SOLs, evidence of community support, and the list goes on. So we do have that outlined, and that's already been approved by you guys previously.
We're good with that, I think.
Yep.
Yep.
You said those are
We
the
just
four
haven't had to
requirements.
deal with it, so we don't
Yeah.
know.
Yes. And so I just wanted to add some, little bit of information. You know, tomorrow we have our admin council meeting, our first monthly meeting with, and that will include directors and principals, myself and Ms. Dowse. And we will be sharing all of the updated policies, the information that has been changed within the policy that's in red, that the updates that they need to understand and be aware of. And administrators will be asked to sign off that they received this professional development tomorrow, and that they received an updated, version of these policy updates, and that they're going to update their staff as part of their annual PD with faculty meetings at the beginning of the year of what information they need to be aware of.
There was one other policy that we had been told to kind of look at, was KGD. It's the one about the overdose, the notification about that.
Yes. So, through the regular method of communication used for school-wide notifications and within 24 hours, the school principal or principal's designee notifies the parent of each student enrolled in the relevant school of such a school-connected student overdose or suspected school-connected overdose. The notification must include the information to the extent of what's known at the time of the notification about the name or identifiable features of the controlled substance and whether the confirmed or suspected overdose occurred on school premises during regular school hours or during a school-sanctioned activity, whether on or off school premises. If any inaccuracy of the initial information notification are subsequently discovered, the principal or principal's designee shall provide an updated notification to the parent of each student to correct any such inaccuracies. The Buckingham School Board, superintendent, principals, school administrators, and employees will take reasonable steps to protect the privacy and dignity of individuals involved in any confirmed or suspected school-connected student overdose. And any notification provided in accordance with the policy will ensure sensitivity to the privacy interests of affected individuals and compliance with any laws, rules, or regulations relating to disclosure and protection of the student's personal, confidential, or otherwise sensitive information, including compliance with the federal FERPA and related regulations. So we will be, like I said, going over these policy updates with administrators tomorrow during admin council, and making sure they understand about the 24-hour notification, what information needs to be shared during that 24-hour notification, as well as a reminder that if we have any of the initial information incorrect, that we need to circle back and notify parents again of any corrections, and also to maintain privacy through FERPA.
Thank you. So, this is the one where we're supposed to go ahead and try to approve it, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Do we need to do any of the amendment stuff that we talked about, or just as is?
I don't know that anything was amended
Okay.
on this
Nothing was
part.
amended.
That was just on the other.
Roger.
We were just providing clarifying information.
Move we approve the May VSBA policy updates as presented.
It's been motioned by Mr. Snoddy and second by Mr. Gregory to approve the May VSBA policy updates as presented. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. The motion carries. Now, 8.01, school board member committee updates. I don't believe we've had any, but Does anybody have any updates?
I don't think we had last meeting was a while back for facilities. Yeah, that's already been covered.
Are there any other?
And like I said, the governor's school is gonna be meeting on the 23rd of July,
Okay.
I believe, so I
And
can,
you said it's informed with Prince Edward?
yes. So, but I'll get you the information.
Okay, good.
And I plan on attending as well.
Okay, good.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Is there any other?
Any other business? Did we want to discuss the AC stuff that's been on the table for a while?
Go ahead.
Yes? All right, I'll discuss it then. There's been conversations had about our school buses, how many we have. We've seen some Facebook stuff from one of our bus drivers published out there on school buses and the lack of AC systems. And I think we've had conversations with Mr. Palmer about it. Mr. Palmer, are you willing to come up and talk about it? Sorry. I know he's not feeling good, he's sick, so.
Yeah, at the startup of this school year, we were presently gonna have 9 buses that are gonna be air conditioned. We will start up of 27 without air conditioning. That's how we're gonna stand at the startup of school. This coming year, sometime this year is kind of a delay in getting your buses made. We're gonna actually get 2 more buses later on in the year. So that will put us up to 11 with air when they get here and 25 without air once the new ones get here.
How many on the road at any given time?
Sir?
How many are on the road at any given time? All of them on the road,
Oh,
all
on the
27
road.
used?
Oh, yeah, all of them.
What is-
That's the daily routes, that's no
27 daily.
spares, that's no spares.
Not the extras going back and forth to Charlottesville, Richmond, Lynchburg, whatever? Or they
No,
included?
they are vans.
Okay.
Yeah. What is the age of, what year, how old would a bus be that you would not want to put air conditioning on?
Well, that's
Because
kinda-
it depends on the mileage, I'm sure.
Department of Education changed it a few years ago. It used to be, when everything was great, the life expectancy of a school bus before you took it off the road was 10 years. And they stretched that out to 15 years. So we're gonna have some right at 15 years old. And we used to get 4 years ago, we got 4 a year. Then we got 3 a year. But with the price of the buses now, we're just getting 2 a year. Because of the air conditioning, because of the emissions and all like that. The price used to be 90,000, now they're 130,000. And like everything, it's gone up tremendously. So, but that is the buses that are on the road right there every day. It's 36. I did cut it a road last year, it used to be 37. But one of my drivers, she retired and I moved the road around and did away with one last year. So presently, we have 9 with air, 27 without air.
And the retro kit is, you said 10 to
14,000.
14,000.
That is the quote that I have, 14,000 per bus.
And right now, we're able to get, how much do we have set aside for the budget for new buses?
We don't have them on our budget. They are given to us
They'll
by the
give
Board of
us,
Civil
the
Liberties.
county's gracious enough to give us, they give us $270 a year. But that's back when school buses were 90,000.
Right, I
That's
got you.
probably been 6 years ago. We would have several years never got a bus when we had to make a drastic cut. And then turned around and, the county's been giving us $270, which, but like I say, it's been probably 5, 6, 8 years ago. Now buses now cost $130. Okay?
And with 130 apiece, you left over $10,000, and you could probably put one together, a retrofit kit, if you had 4 extra grand.
You might could, yeah, but, you know, you had a little extra money.
Well, I think you, the gas that we got this coming year coming in, that's a little bit less, so that would help us possibly maybe.
Yeah, it come in, it come in like 10 or 15 cents per gallon cheaper than last year. That's gonna really help when you get 120,000 gallons, you know, it's gonna really help. It's not much, but it is a saving.
Were the buses, you said the 9 that are going out, I would like to assume anyway, that you got them on the routes that you need them on as far as needing the AC. Or does it
Yeah,
matter?
well-
This depends on the driver, does it depends on
Well, I tell you, it's a lot of things depends on somebody that works every day, comes, shows up, work every day. It's like me too now, I can tell you.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, but I do try to get, extremely, that's what we did the first year, the extremely long roads, we try to put one. And, that's the decision that I try to make and use my best judgment.
Sure, sure.
What's the longest route as far as time?
The longest road used to be the one that went to Howardsville.
About an hour and a half.
Went all the way to the Howardsville Bridge up there next to Buddy Manchester, and that road right there, it was right at, see, you're not supposed to transport the students over an hour and a half, and it was right at it.
I know, I used to ride it.
Yeah, you rode it, you rode the bus, yeah. But that was the longest.
Hey, and we didn't have AC when I rode it, just saying. But the windows work great. Do they work still on the bus? The windows still work?
I hope so.
Okay.
I've got a question about
sir.
a cost that maybe folks maybe hadn't considered. Under the last administration, there was a lot of emissions rules and green rules passed. And because of that, and I was reading this in an article, because of those rules, I guess by the EPA, don't know who, the cost of repairing air conditioning, whether it's a vehicle or a home air conditioner, has risen astronomically due to the grade of refrigerant you are required to put inside of a repaired unit.
Right.
And my question is, of the buses that we have on the road, working with air conditioning, if any of those air conditioners went out, what would be a ballpark figure?
Well, it really-
Would it take the old refrigerant, or would it be, you'd have to put in the new
You would
required
just have to,
refrigerant?
whatever type refrigerant came in it, because they changed refrigerant like in a
Right.
house unit. They changed, whatever came in it, you'd have to put back in it.
Okay,
If it's 134A or if it's 123/4, either one, or 410A, it's three different ones. But whatever they put in originally, that's what you're gonna have to put back in it.
okay.
And go to tell you there, Freon, if you buy 134A, like most of the older cars now, it's $10 a can of Freon. I bought a can of Freon all day, 123/4 was $49 a can.
Right,
See,
right.
you're exactly right what you're saying.
Yes, that's a hidden cost to the air conditioning that I don't think very many folks considered.
Well, another thing too is like this past year, the emissions went up. All the different bus manufacturers went up $8,000 for the emission change. That's just emission change. That DEF fluid and all you got, we've been doing that. But just, they trying to get that exhaust down so low in these buses. $8,000 is a tremendous hit per bus. Plus air conditioning. I think when they're new on a bus, when you order them at $15,000 when they come into the factory. But they retrofit them for $14,000. That's just what they charge.
Yeah, the cost of those units for the new buses that get them is gonna be a lot more expensive than what I think people initially thought, and that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a cost of, people are gonna say, you spent what on an air conditioner for a bus? And the reason is because of the laws that have been passed that you have to comply with. And if we want the air-conditioned buses, we gotta comply with. And I just wanna let folks know you might wanna be prepared for these cost estimates when they come out.
And the emissions is a federal law.
Right.
Emissions, just like your car.
Right.
Federal law.
All right, thank you, Mr. Palmer.
How many buses did we run during the summer school?
14.
14, so I assume 9 of those was AC.
No, some of the drivers, they want to drive their own bus, you know.
Right, without.
I leave it up to them,
Sure,
you know.
sure.
You know,
They know it runs.
yeah. Yeah, they drive it every day, yeah. But I'll leave it up to them.
Are the athletic buses air-conditioned?
We have two, ma'am. Two.
So are they included in the bus routes, or are they just reserved?
No, that's extra. That's just activity, ball games, and if you got a long field trip or something like that to Richmond or something like that, on a hot day, they'll use that.
Yeah.
But it is two Only two, well, it's actually three, but one bus is real old. It's probably a 90-some model. It does have air halfway working on it, but the two main buses were the last two activity buses that we
So-
purchased.
So they're not used any other time?
What does that mean?
Are they not
Oh, yeah,
used?
yeah, yeah, they're used, but if it's a real hot day, we use the two newest buses we have. And you don't usually have no more than two going out.
Well,
Mr.
I think
Bond?
what she was asking is, they're never used on a bus
Oh,
route
no,
as far
no,
as
They're-
school.
No,
Yeah.
no,
They're
you ain't
not
got no lights
supposed
on
to.
it. You don't have no lights to pick
They
up
don't
children
meet,
on.
they don't meet the criteria.
You can.
Federal
run it-
regulation requires those
You
buses.
can run a
be
regular
set up.
speed
That's
limit in a
right.
white bus.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good question.
Mr. Baum, how many buses are we supposed to buy every year by law or by Virginia Department of Education?
Actually, there is no exact number you got to buy. There's a lot of other divisions right here I've talked to, they're not getting none. You know, there's no number you have to have. They do recommend by the Department of Education, a bus gets 15 years old, you start using it as a substitute bus instead of a daily route,
Yes, sir.
okay?
So there's potential, if we correlate with the Board of Supervisors, the $270,000 that we do get from them for the buses, we can maybe buy one bus and use the other half to
That'll
fund
be-
AC for the other buses.
That'll be totally up to somebody other than me, yes, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Thank you, sir.
Any other discussion?
How many weeks do we have school, summer school? Was it 2, 3?
It's 4.
4, was it whole month?
I don't know.
It was the whole month of June.
3 or 4 months.
15 days.
We-
Oh, so 3 weeks then.
Do we know of any heat-related incidents coming off of buses?
But it didn't get hot till the last week.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, the hottest months, I'm looking at the daggone average temperature for Buckingham right now. The max average temperature, June 85, July 86, August 85. After that, everything's 80 and below. So if we didn't have any major, if we don't know of any documented major incidents between June, July, and August, you know, to say we want to go out and spend a lot of money on AC systems for essentially a month and a half of school plus summer school for stuff, we all rode the school buses without AC. Another thing to consider is heat-related incidents come out of AC. We weren't allowed to run our ACs in our Humvees in the military because as soon as you got out with your gear on for whatever, you'd pass out. You'd pass out. You couldn't move, so we ran them without it. You talking about hot? No window. You can't roll the window down and they're going, no,
So one recommendation might be that I've seen other school divisions do when it is extremely hot and we have a heat advisory, is to have small bottles of water available for students to take that have been iced down, available, you know, if they choose. We're helping them stay hydrated on those hot days, and that has been successful in other school divisions.
I'm just looking at it because apparently it's an issue. And I don't know if the bus driver, you've spoken with the bus driver or not. That's none of my business. That's you and your personnel. But the assumption is that we're not taking care of the staff
Yeah.
nor the kids. And, you know, we all had bus drivers that drove us with no AC. I rode the bus an hour and a half with no AC. So, I mean, not that I turned out okay, but I'm still alive.
Well, we had positions that we had to get rid of because we didn't have enough money in the budget. So,
What would you recommend? Do
That's-
you have
yeah.
one?
Oh, in a perfect world, if all of them had air conditioning,
Sure.
of course, that's a perfect world.
That's right.
Actually, I know budget time, stuff like this, I know the county trying to help us and stuff like that, but it's whatever you can do. I'll deal with whatever comes, what y'all tell me to do, I'll deal with it and make it work, okay? I'm gonna have to. But it's totally up to the board.
Yeah. I mean, none of my cars I buy are without AC, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's a nice to have, it's a best practices, I just don't think it's a mandatory thing, I don't think it's a
Well,
necessity.
and going forward, yeah.
Right, going forward, we do the best we can with the money and getting the AC season systems, but I mean, the buses, but at the end of the day, I mean, you guys are working outside with no AC, on the buses with no AC, in the garage with no AC. And you ain't moving, there's no airflow with no AC. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I hear what everybody's, fussing about. It's just, it's a hard pill to swallow when you're talking about, you don't have money for X, Y, Z. Luckily, we're working on it with new superintendent. We're working on stuff with as far as budget stuff goes, but at the end of the day, right now, I mean, we can't get them all there. We can't. All we can do is take the money we got and roll with it, do the best we can. Unless anybody else has got something to enlighten me about, I don't know.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is anything else to come before the board? If not, I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you.